Yo, what's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Swolelax here, back at it again with another video. This time something a little bit different. As you can see, we have an update to the Cyber Dragon deck profile that we did a little while back. This is going to be for the new February format, and I'm actually super hyped because I think with the new cards that are available and the new cards that got beaten down by Konami, this deck's actually going to be pretty sick. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a good time. So let's just jump into it. So the first three cards we're running are 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. So Cyber Dragon, of course, is the focal point of this deck. It is the card this deck revolves around. Obviously, I don't necessarily have to get into why this card is super good. 3 of these are a must because this deck is a combo deck, and having one of these in your hand for your fusion plays or even in your graveyard bodes super well for you. Quick side note, I want to say a huge shout out to me for changing out the sleeves of this deck. It used to be this little like black unfitted sleeves that you got from Ultra Pro, you know, but now it's this gorgeous matte sleeve that is fitted and it's blue. It's nice. So I'm running 3 of those for sure. Next, we're going to do the second card, and that's going to be 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. I almost said 2 copies, but 3 copies for sure. In a lot of ways, this card's actually better than Cyber Dragon because it combos off really well with machine duplication. It's treated as Cyber Dragon on the field and in the graveyard, and has amazing effects all around. It gets you your Cybernetic support to your hand for our spells or trap cards. And if you don't control no monsters, you can banish this card from your graveyard and spell summon a Cyber Dragon out. So it leads you into all sorts of plays, and it's super good. Plus, if it's on the field and you have a Cyber Dragon, well, we'll get into the next card real quick. Nice transition, Swolelax. We'll get into Cyber Dragon Dre. 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Dre. This is... I know what you're about to say. Yo, Swolelax, I believe it's pronounced dry or dry. It's German. Okay, listen. This card, this man himself, he's representing for them gangsters all across the world. He's hitting the corners and the molos, girl. He's taking his time to perfect a beat, and he's still got love for the streets. It's the D-R-E-I. Anyways, this card's super good. It's treated as Cyber Dragon in the field of graveyard. And if, let's say, you have this card, another one, a copy of this card, or Cyber Dragon Core out on the field, you can boost their levels to level 5 and go into your rank plays. So this card is essentially just another access to Cyber Dragon. And obviously, it synergizes super well in this deck, being that it's light machine, its effect is super good, blah, blah, blah. Cyber Dragon, Dre, everyone. Next, we're going to be running 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Now, I know I'm a fool for my last deck for only running 2 Galaxy Soldiers inside of it. And I realize the error of my ways because this one card is essentially inside of this deck a free Cyber Dragon Infinity. And granted, let's say that the Cyber Dragon Infinity goes away and you only have the 1 card left over. Well, still, you can use that as material for the other XYZ plays if you have another Cyber Dragon, blah, blah, blah. This card's just too good not to run at 3. And that card artwork is super sick. And get a close-up with that. Look at that. Beautiful. So yeah, definitely 3 Galaxy Soldiers for sure. Next, a card that I think actually is not a bad option if you're not running a Budget Boys option. But that's 3 copies of Cyber Valley. Now, I actually really like this card in this deck for a few reasons. Number 1, this card does have a little bit, this deck does have a little bit of a lack in defensive capabilities, which I think Cyber Valley offers. 2, it also just synergizes well with Galaxy Soldier and your fusion plays if you want to go into it. And it goes really well with machine duplication, allowing you to get draw value without sacrificing other monsters, yada yada. This card I think is actually pretty good in the deck, and surprisingly so. So I run it at 3. I think most people should. And next we're running 2 copies of Honest. Honest is actually a pretty good card in this deck, again for defensive capabilities, but it gives you fodder for discarding for cards like Twin Twisters or Galaxy Soldier. This card you can honestly probably switch out for something else, but if you're looking for a little more of an attack boost, if you can't get your big boss monster dudes out, Honest is a great option. And finally, for the monsters, we got 1 copy of Cyber Eltonin. Cyber Eltonin is my preference of this card, especially in this Budget Boys build. Cyber Eltonin allows you to board clear, and you get some pretty funny interactions with this deck. So, for example, you have to banish your light machine monsters from your field and your graveyard, especially summon this guy out, and then a board clears. And the really funny thing about this is that you can top deck this, you can banish from your graveyard like 2 monsters, because at that point I don't know, whatever. And and then you can be like, oh, I destroy your field and deal 1,000 damage. And so it can be underwhelming there in that regard, but it has some funny interactions. And again, only run it at once, so it's not necessarily going to hurt you to run this card, and you can always discard it later, blah, blah, blah. So one copy of that, I think, is pretty good. And next, we're actually going to get into our trap cards first because there are only 2 of them. We are running 2 copies of your boy Storm and Mirror Force. As you guys know, I like this card a lot, and again, defensive capabilities, blah, blah, blah. So 2 copies of Storm and Mirror Force, and that's going to actually end the trap cards for this deck. We're going to get into the spell cards because there are a bountiful many of them. Is that how I say it? Regardless. We have 3 copies of Cyber Repair Plant. Cyber Repair Plant is another focal card of this deck. It allows you to extend your combos and plays. It looks super sick, and it's easily searchable and accessible with Cyber Dragon Core. So it allows you to get cards to your hand, come back from being down, yada yada. And especially if you have more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, which is not unlikely with all the cards that say they're Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, you can really get some nice combos off and really get some good cycle with this card. So 3 of those for sure. And I'm actually running 1 copy of Cybernetic Fusion Support as well, because those 2 cards, Cyber Repair Plant and Cybernetic Fusion Support, are able to be searched by Cyber Dragon Core. And this card, what it allows you to do is you can chain it off a fusion card that you use and be able to have access to your graveyard, hand, or field as fusion materials, so to speak. So it does give you a little bit extra flex play as far as that goes, but I'm only running 1 because it's not super good to draw into. But it's nice to search, and if you search it out early, you don't necessarily have to worry about drawing into it. Next, I'm running 3 copies of Power Bond. Power Bond obviously is the insane card that your boy Zane used in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX to make his amazing, powerful machine monsters, or whatever he says. And Power Bond's super good. It doubles the attack of any fusion monster that you bring out of its machine type. And obviously this deck's going to run 3 of them because it is as a combo OTK deck. Power Bond gives you access to all sorts of nutty plays. So Power Bond's good. 3 of those. Next, for the 2 elves and spell cards, I got 2 copies of Instant Fusion. This card is a new addition to this deck, and I'm so happy that I did it because it allows you more access to your rank 5 plays, your fusion plays. It's just a super good card that I just didn't include in the last deck, and I'm such a fool for it. Because what would happen is that my Galaxy Soldier would get negated, or something would get negated to where I couldn't do my rank 5 plays and get out Infinity. But this card gives you a little bit more flexible options and allowing you to do that, or just continue plays straight up. So 2 copies of Instant Fusion I find are serving me really good. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Overload Fusion. Overload Fusion is pretty good. It's kind of like your Miracle Fusion of this deck, if you know what that card is. It allows you to special summon a Dark Machine type monster from your extra deck using materials from your field or graveyard. So, what the theory of what you want to do is get your machine fusions inside the graveyard, slap down Overload Fusion, and bring out your Chimera Tech Over Dragon, which is super good. That card we'll get into a little bit later. That's kind of the idea with this deck. With this card inside this deck. Next, we're running 2 copies of Machine Dupe. Machine Dupe is super good with Cyber Valley and, of course, Cyber Dragon Core, allowing you to get all types of shenanigans off. I'm only running 2 of them instead of 3 of them because I'm finding 3 to be a little too much, and I'm seeing it a little too often. 2 I find is a nice balance. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters, obviously, good back row removal and synergize super well in this deck with, again, Overload Fusion, getting your monsters in the graveyard, yada, yada, yada. It's a good card. Run it. Next, for the 1-ofs, I got 1 copy of Limiter Removal. Limiter Removal, obviously, if you could run more than 1 of this card, you would be running all sorts of shenanigans with this card. Doubles machine type monster attacks, going in for the kill. Yeah, for sure. For sure, one of those cards. Next, I got 1 copy of Book of Moon. Yeah, it's Book of Moon. 1 copy of Dark Hole as our hashtag Budget Boys Raigeki. This card is nuts. Not really. This is good. This is good. And then finally, the card we've all been waiting for, that I've been waiting for such a long time. That was kind of underwhelming. Let me try that again. Bam! Woo! This card is back in action. We're running 1 copy of Monster Reborn. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see a format where we got Solemn Judgment and Monster Reborn back. Absolutely insane. Monster Reborn should be run at 1 of in every single deck. I know for me personally, it's going to be run at 1 of in every single deck. It's just super good. Monster Reborn is great. I don't really need to sing its praises. You already know what it does. It's just round of applause. Round of applause. It's good. And that's going to be it for the spell cards. We're going to go into the extra deck now. The extra deck is actually pretty beefy. It's a full 15-card deck. So, yeah. We got 1 copy of Decode Talker and 1 copy of Quilly Fort. Genius. So actually, side note, this was a last minute addition right before this video because I thought about it and I'm like, oh, this card's actually pretty good for the deck. So Decode Talker used to be the only Link monster on the side of this deck, but it would get hard to kind of go into it if you won multiple extra deck monsters and your fusions out. But then Quickly for Genius came out, and this card's only 2 machine monsters, plus it has some pretty good effects that you can negate monsters that your opponent negates effects that your opponent has. And also, if this card, if more monsters are special to the zones, this card points to you can get a level 5 machine monster to your hand. So it seems like it was made for this deck in a lot of ways. So I'm definitely running these 2 cards as your only Link monsters you're going to be having, because this deck is obviously a fusion deck. 1 copy of Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon and 2 copies of Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon and Knuckles. This card artwork is super sick. So Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, in a lot of ways, is sometimes better option than this, but you are running 2 in 1 because you probably will be using this card more often. This card, what it allows you to do is use extra deck materials from either extra monster zone and a Cyber Dragon monster to make it together, though it caps out at 3,600 if possible. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon covers that by having 1,000 for as many machine type monsters on the field and as possible, a Cyber Dragon monster and machines as possible. They both use contact fusion, quote unquote, and not using power bond or polymerization or whatever. So I'm running these and this kind of spread. So this card's super good for getting rid of troublesome extra deck monsters. It's kind of like a kaiju in a way, but yeah, 3 of those. It's pretty good. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Panther Dragon for your instant fusion. This card allows you to go into your XYZ support, and it's an okay card. It's okay as like far as its base will go, but pretty much you're going to be using this card exclusively to go into your XYZ rank plays. Next, I'm running 1 copy of Cyber Twin Dragon for the flex, and 2 copies of Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. These cards kind of both serve the same purpose, allowing you to attack multiple times, but the difference is Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, it allows you to get rid of back row if you do choose so, and it can attack up to 3 times because you can use 2 or more fusion materials. So it gets 2 additional attacks. If you use 2, 3 additional attacks, you get 2, yada, you get the point. So theoretically, this card can output more damage than Cyber Twin Dragon with Power Bond or something like that. But Cyber Twin Dragon is not a bad option because it does have a base 2,800, and with Power Bond that bumps up to a 5,600, allowing you to attack for 10,000 damage. You get the point. So it's pick your choice. Either of these 2 cards are good. I personally think Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon is easier to summon, and it's also super good. So I'm running that. And next, on to our extra deck monster plays. I think you all already know. We got 1 copy of Constellar Pleiades, and 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nova, and 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Infinity. This is a duh in every single Cyber Dragon deck because it just works so well. So let me tell you a little something. Let me tell you something. So Cyber Dragon Nova actually is a sleeper card in this deck, and a lot of people don't use it the way that it should be used, and that you play it, you discard material, and you get a Cyber Dragon back onto your field, and then you overlay for Nova. I like that play a little better than just going straight into Infinity, but it's up to personal preference and obviously it's situational. But that's just me. I like doing that and then overlaying for Infinity. And that's actually pretty much it. That's going to be a whole entire deck profile for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this deck, if you guys didn't like this deck, if you guys love the GX era, or if you're just a liar. I mean, that's the only 2 people that are in this world, those who like GX and those who are lying. And, I guess there's those who've never seen it before, but yeah, whatever. 3 people. Anyways, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think, and that's all I got to say. Peace out.